These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan.
It's been a good season.
They cannot have this Caitlyn Clark thing up any worse if they tried.
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
People want to talk about, oh, if Caitlyn's 10th on the roster and she sits the bench, it's still going to bring eyes to the game. No, it's not.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Will Caitlyn Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Absolutely not.
Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong.
Because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their attention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
When looking at sports media today, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to find figures who believe the takes they're giving, have conviction behind their takes, and aren't giving takes based on narrative to push lies and really just make money. And one of the last remaining figures who remains authentic is, of course, Charles Barkley. And regarding Caitlyn Clark, Charles has told it how it is since day one.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA.
You are correct, sir. Yes!
Now, that clip from Charles right there came from the Western Conference Finals, Mavericks vs. Timberwolves. And Clark at that point had only played a handful of games as a professional. But even with that being said, Barkley could see the hatred brewing on and off the court, current players, past players, and especially the analysts. To not see the comments dissing Clark, the fouls on the court, just kind of abusing her on the court, to not see that, you have to be ignorant. And for someone like Elle Duncan of ESPN, she feigned ignorance and acted like all this was made up and came out of thin air.
This is only women that get this. I'm tired of it. Like, here's my thing, you guys. What else? Who? Who are these girls? Who are these girls that are hating on Caitlyn Clark?
Oh, that's not so much. So?
When looking at someone like Elle Duncan, they are the anti-Charles Barkley. What they do is appeal to social media and a niche group on social media. Charles Barkley tries to appease nobody. What he does is tells it how he thinks it is, and more times than not, he is indeed correct. Someone like Elle Duncan, her opinion, it blows with the wind and what's popular online. Case in point, her spat with Cheryl Swoops. Initially, Elle Duncan called out Swoops for blatant lies regarding Clark. Then, a couple of days later, apologized, backtracked, and was kissing the feet of one Cheryl Swoops. Again, someone like Elle Duncan is the anti-Charles Barkley. Her opinion can sway with the wind. Charles Barkley will tell you the cold hard truth whether you want to hear it or not.
What she did in college for women's basketball, what she's doing in the WNBA.
She turned the Fever, we're 1-8. They have a winning record now.
But the number of attention, eyeballs, she's brought to college and the pros. And for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here? And
well, you got accused of that stuff too with the older players being resentful of the new generation. It's kind of part of the basketball process. Everybody thinks their generation's the best.
No. Anytime we say something about guys, it ain't the old get off my lawn guy.
Yeah.
But the stuff toward her is petty and jealous.
And let's make one thing very clear. Caitlyn Clark is not above criticism of her game and her on-the-court play. As looking at her game, yes, there are some parts of her game that need improving. Most notably, her turnovers. That is a point of basketball that can be judged objectively with facts. Someone like Cheryl Swoops doesn't do that. And from a pure marketing perspective, like Barkley says, this league has messed with the Clark thing since the beginning. As looking at Clark, she is indeed their cash cow that will elevate the entire league and every player. Players who like her or don't like her, doesn't matter. A rising tide lifts all boats. And if you want to look at the facts of the matter, Caitlyn Clark is the one player on the one team that is box office and must see. Out of these 16 must-watch games this year, Caitlyn Clark's team was involved in 14 of the 16. What you have in Caitlyn Clark is a Jordan-esque figure. Not only a great player, a great marketing machine, but must-see TV for even casual basketball fans. For the WNBA, they've been begging for that for close to 20 years. And now that they finally got it, they're on the brink of messing it up in only one season. Actually impressive.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster.
Yeah.
Much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
I think she was tired. I think she was banged up from the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been ready for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no strip. She came straight out of college and had to go right to the WNBA like 2 weeks later.
So looking back at actual basketball play on the court, like Barkley said, Clark at the start of the year compared to now is a completely different player. As early in the season, she was an all-star player, a very good player. Now in early September, she's a bona fide top 5 player, an MVP candidate. And if you look at her game logs thus far, 34 games, split it down the middle. The player on the left, first 17 games, is an all-star player. Player on the right is the best player in the world and a mega superstar. You might say Clark found her footing, found her groove, and is now thriving in this league. And to some degree, that is true. But what I chalk it up to is Clark being fatigued and tired to start the season. As looking at her schedule pre-WNBA, National Championship game, April 7th. Drafted, April 15th. First game, May 14th. And then their schedule was absolutely brutal. The Caitlyn Clark in the last 17 games we've seen, that is the real Caitlyn Clark. And here's the scary thing. Give her a 4-month break, come back next year even stronger, better shooter, better handles. I mean, this sophomore bump is going to be absolutely ridiculous with a well-rested off season.
When I watched her play the last month, I think she's learning to play much faster because I think she's learning to trust those girls more. Because, when she's in college, she's not passing to a bunch of great players. Now you can see when she plays, she's playing a lot without the ball. She reminds me a lot of Jason Kidd. She probably did deserve to make the Olympic team on merit, but her getting that time off probably was the best thing happened to her.
Well, the other thing that happened, her teammates, you could see like a little osmosis. You watch that team now and they're pretty unselfish to watch. Like they're making extra passes, and it's the kind of stuff that happens when you're playing with a great player.
So stopping Bill and Charles right there, the greatest thing about watching Fever games is seeing someone like Kelsey Mitchell. And Mitchell, prior to this year, she was an all-star and an established player. Because of Clark, her impact, the spotlight she brings, someone like Mitchell gets the praise she so rightfully deserves. And watching Mitchell and this entire team, Lexi Hall, Aaliyah Boston, Temi off the bench, I mean, this team top to bottom, they have household names now because of Caitlyn Clark. I'm telling you guys, it's so simple. If this league just embraced Caitlyn Clark, stopped the slander for 24 hours, things would change in an instant. As the entire mojo around Clark, the media around Clark, it is largely negative, like I said earlier. And with that negative energy around them, this thing could have gone bad after that 1-8 start. But to Caitlyn Clark's credit and Mitchell's credit, it didn't. They righted the ship, and right now are the hottest team in the league. And speaking of that duo, I mean, since the break, not just the best duo, the best backcourt, but the best 1-2 punch in a long time. And since the break, they are averaging 50.1 points per game. Now that right there is the end of the video. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.